Hey everyone, my name is Aaron, this is Dad.0. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Zeblaze Vibe 6. It sounds like I'm saying 5-6, but it's actually Vibe, V-I-B-E 6. This is a budget smartwatch with a lot of cool features and a nice little design on it. So I picked one up a few weeks ago. I've been using it every day since. Just want to give you my thoughts and impressions and kind of go over an overall review of it. Taking it out of the box, the first thing you notice is this big 1.3 inch IPS color display. It has a resolution of 240 by 240 pixels. It does get nice and bright. I can see this in any amount of light, including direct sunlight. It is a touchscreen, and you'll be using the touchscreen to kind of navigate through this watch. It has a black metal bezel around the screen. It's a good looking bezel. Kind of reminds me of like a Garmin watch a little bit. On one side, you have two buttons. You have the mode button, which if you press it on the home screen, it'll take you to a list of all the widgets that you can select from. And if you're in a widget, you can press it to return back to the home screen. And then on the top, you have your power button. On the bottom of the watch, you have a microphone. And then on the top of the watch, you have a speaker. On the other side, there is nothing. And then on the bottom, you have your sensors along with the charging port. This watch measures at 51 millimeters long, 51 millimeters wide, and 16 millimeters deep. So it's a bit of a chunker. Again, think Garmin watch for comparison. The watch weighs 67 grams, which is a little bit heavier than my Apple Watch, but wearing it day to day, I really don't notice that big of a difference. The band is kind of your basic rubber band with a clasp. It measures 24 millimeters and is interchangeable. Now I'm going to rattle off all the features of this device, and there are a lot of them, but I'm going to go into more detail in those features in just a bit. But first, the features. It has a standalone music player, so you can store music on this and play it right on the watch, or you can control the music on your phone. There is Bluetooth calling, so you can actually receive and make calls on this smartwatch. There is 24/7 heart rate tracking. You can track 10 sport modes. There's smartphone notifications, sleep tracking, 25 days of battery life, they quote. It is IP67 water resistant. You also have blood pressure monitoring, female health tracking, stopwatch, alarm clock, movement reminders, and camera controls on this. It also has Bluetooth 5.0, a proximity sensor, and an accelerometer. So there's a ton of features on this watch, especially at this price point. But let's go into how you use the watch, how you use these features, and then I'll go into my experience with this watch after a few weeks of usage. Two ways to turn on the display. You can use the wrist turn activation. This works very well. You can also use one of the two buttons to turn on the display. Once on, you have the watch dial, and you can choose between 4 different watch dials that are preloaded on this. And then you use your finger to navigate through the OS. So swiping down brings down some quick settings. Things like Find My Phone, you can set an alarm, you can do Not Disturb. You can also see how much battery life is left. Going back to the dial and swiping up will bring up the music player. Going back to the dial and swiping to the left or right will just give you an overview of how your day is going. You can see your blood pressure measurements, your heart rate measurements, how many steps you've taken, how far you've gone, how many calories you've burned, along with your sleep tracking information from the previous night. Pressing the mode button will bring up your available widgets and kind of gets you into the guts of the smartwatch. The first thing here is sport. This is where you can actually track your workouts. You can see here you can track outdoor run, outdoor walk, indoor run, indoor walk, hiking, stair steppers, outdoor cycling, stationary bike, elliptical, and rowing machine. Now pressing the mode button from here will take you back to the dial screen, but if you want to just go back to the list of widgets that you were on before, you swipe your finger to the right, and that's kind of your back swipe instead of going all the way back to the dial. The next 4 widgets are step, sleep, heart rate, and blood pressure. Those are all the exact same views that you get from the dial screen when you swipe left or right. The next widget is dial. This is where you can actually make an outgoing call if you want, and you can use the speaker and the microphone right on the watch to make a call. The next 2 are contacts and call logs. Contacts is obviously a list of your contacts. Call logs will tell you who called and when. And then the next widget is your notifications, and you can receive your smartphone notifications on this smartwatch. And you can customize what notifications will be forwarded to the smartwatch in the app. The next couple are pretty self-explanatory. You have your alarm clock, you have a stopwatch, you have a countdown. Music is the music player. Again, same thing as when you swipe up from the dial screen. You have your music player. There's a Find My Phone. So if you do lose your phone, you can use this to play music on your phone to find it. You have female health tracking. You have photograph, which actually will allow you to shake your wrist to take a photograph with your smartphone. And then the last widget here is your settings. And here you can adjust your brightness, You can customize the auto lock, so you can keep this on for a certain amount of time, and the most is 30 seconds. So no always on display on this device. You have switch, which allows you to customize your alerts that you get. You have message settings, which allows you to customize the notifications that you get. You then have dial settings, which allows you to change the watch face. You then have device, which will give you more device information. And you have clear data, which will allow you to factory reset this watch. So that is how you use this watch. Let's go over my experience with it. First, the design did take a little getting used to. Again, it is a little bit of a bigger watch and it's a little bit thicker than I'm used to wearing. Some people might not be bothered by this. Some people might. For me, it was a bit of an adjustment, but after a couple days, I didn't really notice a difference. I will say it's not the most comfortable to sleep with if you're really into sleep tracking, but I do like the design overall. I think it's a good looking watch. When it comes to health tracking, I think the steps and activity tracking has been pretty accurate. Heart rate, when it comes to resting heart rate, I do believe this is pretty accurate and it's right on par with my Apple Watch. When I'm working out, it does seem to fluctuate a little bit. It's gotten better, I will say, with the more workouts I do. It seems to track my heart rate a little bit better. But the first couple workouts, it was kind of all over the board. But like I said, I think the resting heart rate tracking is very accurate. When it comes to blood pressure, I just don't know how these smartwatches, especially these budget smartwatches, can track blood pressure. I guess I would just like to see some of the scientific data of how they can get an accurate blood pressure reading from a smartwatch before I would take this as medical grade and bet my health on it. Because the readings that I get from this watch are much lower than what I get from the doctor's office. So I'm not saying that they're wrong. I just don't know that I would bet my health that they're 100% accurate. Sleep tracking has been pretty accurate as well. There's been just a couple nights where I know it's been an hour or two off, but for the most part, it's within a couple minutes of when I think I went to sleep and when I know I woke up. And then you can see your sleep stages in the app itself. And all of the rest of the features have worked really well. Notifications from my iPhone have come in right away. Taking calls and making calls on this has worked extremely well. The music player is an awesome feature, and I love being able to store music right on this and then connect my Bluetooth headphones to it. And it does have a connected GPS option as well in the app, so you can take this outside and track your workouts, and battery life has been excellent as well. They quote 25 days, and that's only if it's just in standby watch mode. If you're using this more as a smartwatch, they quote 15 days, which is right about what I'm seeing as well. I've had this for now 3 weeks and I've only had to charge it once, and that was after about 2 weeks of usage. So 14 to 15 days is what I'm seeing, which is really good, especially coming from an Apple Watch where I get maybe a day and a half of usage. This added battery life is very welcomed. And overall, I'm really impressed with the amount of features that you get on this budget smartwatch. I think it has a great design. Again, a little on the big side, but still I think it looks good. It doesn't look cheap in my opinion. And you get a ton of health tracking. You get a ton of smartphone features like making and receiving calls and getting notifications. You get an awesome music player and you get weeks of battery life, not days. So if you're in the market for a smartwatch, but you don't want something that's going to make a dent in your budget, check this one out. I'll put a link in the description below. Also, if you like this video, press that like button, subscribe, because I got a lot more things to review coming up. I appreciate it, guys. As always, I'll catch you on the next video.